Greetings, everybody. It's me, Robert Phoenix, and we are back for another edition of the Astro Weather. Behind me, you will see a beautiful sunrise photo from here in the Hill Country, courtesy of our good friend Claire Guest, who sent this to me. And she was inspired one morning on her property to take a photo of what was happening there. And there you go. And if you have photos of a sunrise around your house, please send them. You know the email address. It's astrophoenix@gmx.com. I'll put that right in the chat there. astrophoenix@gmx.com. There you go. And voila. All right. Well, here we are. We are deeply in December now, deeply in Sagittarius. And we have a lot to talk about today, don't we? As always, thank you for being here. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And we have the locals scene to sign up for as well. And you can always buy me a cup of coffee in lieu of a super chat, which some people do. All right, who's in the house? We got a little, look at that, batting leadoff today. Christina Jerzik, CJ, batting leadoff, Barbara Boots, Double B, 2024. Where did it go? Where did 2024 go? That's what I want to know. Meow, meow, kitty poop. There she is, the queen of speed, Nora Rashid. Listening to Richard Pinhas while doing some aggressive house painting help accelerate the fall of France. Find out soon. Richard Pinhas, yes. I believe he was on the Spalax label. I think it was the same label that had like Asherah Temple and some of these other groups from the 70s. If I'm not mistaken, Richard Pinhas. Good call, Sigurd. Scott Jersey, Michael Cisternino, dropping a little bit in the batting order today, but a very important member of the team nonetheless. Susie Gemini is here, Brandy Herrera, Mary Grether, Moonsprout, Jackie Delario. Thanks for a thought-provoking evening on Sunday. A lot of thoughts going around on Sunday night, and some people seem to really enjoy it. So that was great. Brandy Harada. Deborah R. It's chilly in the Florida Panhandle, but sunny. Sunny but chilly is good. I like sunny but chilly. Road trip 1981. That's our friend Darlene. Leno Winkler. It's a cold one in the cornfields of Illinois. Looking forward to the Farcast. My man, Neil Smith, checking in from Wisconsin. Who else we have? Ms. J. Let's see. Meow meow. Scrubbies. Getting that dog out. Walk that dog, Tamara. It's good for you. Good for the dog. Let's see. Tom Jordan. Morning, Tom. Officially. Greetings. Harry Bowie. Hey, Steve. Our man, Thor at the door. The lovely and talented one. Saving Austin one tooth at a time. PB, morning. Yes, Friday and Sunday shows were awesome. You get good content around these parts. And by joining Locals and supporting me as a member of Locals, guess what? You get to support the content. That's right, because none of it, except for when I do something for members, supporting members, is gated. I don't do any gated content. It's all out there. It's all for you. Lady Lou, sunny and cold in McKinney. Big Dave Sullivan, Warlanda. I finished my coffee, Warlanda. Maria Deange. Maria, we have one of your countrymen today as the star of the day. Joan W. Got a couple of Joans back to back. Soul Traveler, Marinoga Movement, Misbehaving 2. We have an all-star cast today. Claire, Ratchet Boo. I think we're caught up. Divide by cucumber. I like that. Divide by cucumber. We are all caught up. All right. There we go. Let's get into the weather. Let's get into the weather. It'll be better together. All right. Man, this weekend we had that new moon in Sag conjunct whatchamacallit, Antares. Holy shit. That was a holy shit moment this weekend. We had fights all over college football on Saturday. There was a soccer match somewhere in Africa where 52 people died because they stormed the field because they were unhappy with a call that the refs laid down. It was crazy in the sports world this weekend with that new moon conjunct Antares in Sagittarius. Wow. It was a wow moment. Anyway, we've come off of our grand trine a little bit here. The sun is creeping past Mars. Mars is stationing, about to go retrograde. It feels to me like this is a Christmas where people don't spend a lot of money. That's what it feels like. That Mars retrograde in Cancer, the belts get tighter. It's the tightening of the belts. I'm not talking about the belts on your car. No, it's the belts around your pocketbook. Feels to me like even though Trump is now the presumptive president, even though they're still counting votes in California, I think people are more confident in the long term, perhaps, but in the short term, we're still in the effects of all of this inflation. And it is crazy, right? It is really, really crazy. So last week, I was in kind of a fish mood. Every now and then you get in a fish mood. And I was in a fish mood, and I wanted to have some fish. And I'm particular about my fish. Oh, there's some deer in my backyard. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, cute little deer. You're right outside my window. Anyway, so I was in a fish mode, and I'm like, it's really rare that I have a Patagonian sawtooth. Do you know what the Patagonian sawtooth is? It's also known as a Chilean sea bass. And it's like, I haven't had, I used to love Chilean sea bass. I mean, Chilean sea bass is kind of like the crack of fish. Am I right? Because it's so buttery. It's a really buttery fish. It's delicious. And I went to get the Chilean sea bass. It was, this thing is like $25 a pound. I know it's always been high, but then it's like, it's not a bad fish. I like that fish. In fact, I love that fish. But the Alaskan halibut looked even better. And that was $25 a pound. So I got a pound of Alaskan halibut. It's like crazy. But I'll tell you where it really got nuts. It was with these little Dover fillets. You ever see those? I remember a couple of years ago living in Fredericksburg, and they were like $6.98 a pound. This is fresh fish, right? Fresh fish, not frozen. They're thin, but at a pound of them, you can get a lot of them, right? Little thin little Dover fillets. They're $14.98 a pound. They've like gone up $8 a pound since about 2019. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. That's why I think people are tightening their belts. You're going to see this Mars retrograde where people are just going to get more money conscious. It's just the way it is, right? But we still have the remnants of that Sun-Mars trine, so there is a lot of good feeling in the air. As the French would say, there is a great deal of joie de vivre in the air. That's right. Mercury's gone retrograde, and it is now moving closer into a square with Saturn, which we have talked about before. And it is the revelation of uncomfortable truths. They are coming. I would say some of it is kind of like getting some coal in your stocking on Christmas. It's like, oh, I didn't expect that. Yeah, that's not great news, isn't it? Not really. It's from the past, right? That's Mercury retrograde. It's from the past. And in Sagittarius, it is uncomfortable truths that we do not want to hear. Now, how you respond to that, I think, has a lot to do with the outcome of the uncomfortable truths. I mean, isn't that really the story of life? It's about how we respond to things. So we have Mercury at 17, trining Chiron, also retrograde. Don't be too proud to admit you might have made an error somewhere along the way. That's always like, you don't want to make a habit of it and just say you're sorry all the time, because at that point, sorry just doesn't have a lot of credence. It's like, oh yeah, you're sorry again. Oh, great. We're glad you're sorry. But every now and then, the mea culpa, yeah, I made a mistake here. Like, even to yourself, like, to admit it to yourself, it's not a bad thing. And it's actually a position of strength with both Mercury and Chiron. And it's like people say, oh, yeah, I'm capable of that too. There's two schools of thought in this world. There's one school of thought, which is to project ultimate power. It's not necessarily a bad strategy to project ultimate power, right? It's called confidence. It's called being able to handle situations. It's not a bad strategy, right? The other strategy in life is don't be afraid to admit your shortcomings and vulnerabilities from time to time, right? Like when you see Donald Trump, who we'll be talking about today at great length on 15 Minutes of Flame, he does not admit his shortcomings. He projects power, right? He projects power. Not sure any real public figure ever admits their shortcomings, but the ones that do occasionally will gain great favor with people, but they can't do it all the time, or else they will lose that separation between themselves and others, right? So if you do have to admit some shortcoming from time to time, it's not a bad thing, either for you or for other people. In the meantime, I suggest that to the best of your ability, you go on throughout your day, projecting a sense of, I can handle it, right? I can handle it. There's nothing wrong with projecting into the world that you are someone who is competent. Nothing wrong with that at all, right? If you project competency and at times you're able to admit areas where you may not be as skilled as you could be in other areas, you always have the potential of learning, right? So it's a nice blend of self-respect, self-esteem, and humility. Today's one of those days. All right. We have Jupiter also on the other side here, kind of conflating things a little bit. This is where the T-square is. It's mutable. Jupiter squaring Saturn. It's been squaring Saturn for a while, right? And that Jupiter retrograde, again, does not do well for the economy. It's not great for the economy. It's not great for people wanting to spend money. The people's belts are tight right now. So if you have a business out there, hang in there, try to economize, keep your costs down. And hopefully once Jupiter goes direct and begins to break away from Saturn and it begins to move into Cancer, there's going to be some more activity. So this is kind of a fallow period. Jupiter is in detriment and it's also retrograde. So this is also a period of time where gossip can come back and hurt you. Right? So for any future dates, I would avoid gossip like the plague. with this Mercury retrograde. Now, people will bring things up from the past. That's going to be a given. But again, how you deal with them is going to be the most important part around all of it, right? And you may be the person that might bring something up from somebody else's past. If you do that, then do it with some delicacy and care. There's always a way in which you can have conversation and communication with others. It's a little more inclusive. It's a good use of the word inclusive. All right, we have Venus at 25 Capricorn, getting ready to move into Aquarius, getting ready to shack up with Pluto, getting ready to move into that opposition with Mars. And that's going to be a very interesting Venus transit today. It's trining Uranus. And I like the trine, especially with Venus and Capricorn, which is all about endurance and fidelity and commitment, all those good Capricornian things. Uranus breathes some more life into relationships that tend to be either stale or, need a little bit more juice, right? The Uranus trine, it's like get out, do something different. Don't go through the motions. Maybe go on Craigslist and, find some swingers that you can bring into your current relationship. No, I'm just kidding about that. But that's kind of the vibe with the Venus Uranus trine. It's like, okay, let's do something that, here we go. Let's do something that helps us feel what? Young again. The invigoration of the youthful spirit when it comes to relating. Not necessarily a bad thing. Venus sextiles Neptune right there, right? So it's not a bad sextile either. It's very, it's very compassionate. It's like the flinty heart of Venus and Capricorn gives way to a much more empathic kind of and compassionate kind of relate. I actually think the whole relating thing is good today. And even the square with Chiron, Venus is moving past that square with Chiron. So interpersonal relationships, if you take a different tack and do something different or new, it's great. It's invigorating. Why not, right? The moon is in Capricorn, so it's still kind of in a newish phase, and it's sextile Saturn here. If you got a mother out there, let her know you love her, right? Let her know you love her. And, you got a grandmother, same deal. Moon, Saturn, sextile. Maybe you want to get some of those family recipes from the holidays. Mom, what was the secret to your Jell-O mold? I want to know what the secret to your Jell-O mold was. Well, honey, I'll tell you my secret. Sometimes how people put orange slices in their Jell-O mold. I didn't do that. I put tangerine slices in there. Let me tell you why. Those tangerine slices, they're just a little sweeter. And guess what? You don't have to really cut them up. Those orange slices are so big, you got to cut them up. But those tangerine slices, you can get them into your mouth. And they are going to be sweet and tart. That's my secret to the Jell-O mold. Well, thanks, Mom. I would never have known that. All right, there you go. That's your Astro Weather. Look at that. It's 8:20. Are you kidding me? It's 8:20, and we're almost done with the Astro Weather. I suppose I could talk about this Mars-Neptune trine. Creative. Hey, it's creative. Maybe you want to make your own gifts. Now, that's bold, isn't it? That is really bold, making your own gifts. It's like, geez, thanks. What is it? What do you mean? What do you mean? What is it? It's a painting of me and you together, but it's slightly abstract. It's kind of postmodern. Oh, right. Yes. I can see there's something There's something between that one stick figure's legs. That must be me. Yes. There you go. Well, this is quite a nice gift here. I know. I put a lot of time and effort into it. Yeah, get creative. Get creative. We got a Venus. We got a Venus-Mars opposition. That's coming. We'll address that later as we come into it a bit more. It's there. It's out of sign. It is a bit of a power struggle between the masculine and the feminine. Mars and Leo says, I want to be generous. I want to be generous. Venus and Capricorn is, I want to watch the bottom line. So again, that gets back into this whole idea of money, resources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Today, before we jump into the star of the day, we have the moon in Capricorn and in conjunct with Mars and Leo. And again, it gets into that idea. So the moon in Capricorn is a little dry, a little arid. You know, it's kind of like, what would it be like? You know, back in the old days when you would have a diet, you know, you would have like maybe a slice of grapefruit, right? You'd have a slice of grapefruit, maybe some plain yogurt, almost always low fat, which was dumb, but low fat, maybe a cup of black coffee, and then you would have toast. But there'd be no butter on the toast because people were kind of crazy back then, thinking that butter was going to be fatty and put fat on you. It'd be that dry toast, right? The moon in Capricorn is kind of like that dry toast in the middle of that diet, that morning breakfast that people thought was going to be really good for you and help keep your weight down. And the other side, that Mars and Leo is like, have some steak with that breakfast. You know, fuck the Warren Beatty breakfast. That's Warren Beatty. Famous story. Warren Beatty was hanging out with Cary Grant in Hollywood. That's when Warren Beatty's a young actor. And he's sitting poolside with Cary Grant. And he's there to get tips from the great man, right? And Cary Grant's butler comes out. Cary Grant is a chef, obviously. And the butler comes out and he tells Warren Beatty, have whatever you want. I've got a kitchen full of everything, whatever you want. So Warren Beatty says, I'll have a cup of coffee, I'll have half a grapefruit, and I'll have toast, no butter. That was his breakfast. Cary Grant orders 3 eggs, a side of pancakes, an order of bacon, an order of sausage, an order of toast, a cup of coffee, and a cup of grapefruit juice. It was massive breakfast, right? And Beatty looks at him like, what are you doing? I'm like, he says, that's an enormous breakfast. And Cary Grant says, Warren, my boy, the secret to life. In the morning, you eat like a trencherman. In the afternoon, you eat like an artist. And in the evening, you eat like, what's the word? Somebody that's in the poorhouse, right? Basically, what he's saying was, you have your big meal at the beginning of the day. Your second meal, you eat like an artisan, which means you're going to have something light, like maybe some cheese, maybe some cured meats or something like that. Not a big meal. And then the evening, hardly anything at all. And that was the secret of Cary Grant's dietary life, much to the shock of one young Warren Beatty. All right. So with that, why don't we transition? This is a fast, really fast. I feel like I should give you more here. I'm almost like I feel like I'm kind of ripping you off this morning. There's not a lot of water, but that Saturn Neptune in Pisces, plenty plenty of water, and then that Juno in Scorpio. And it is this Juno trine Saturn is pretty good. I like this Juno trine Saturn. Let's just talk about that a little bit before we get out of here. This is the birth of something long-term. So if you want to start a long-term project, today's the day. Even with Pallas and the moon also together in Capricorn. So even though Mercury's retrograde, maybe you return to something that you started a long time ago. So, I need to get back to that. Go do it. All right. Let's talk about our star of the day. And then what we'll do here is we'll bring up the banner. And there we go. So before I jump into today's star of the day, which is brought to you by True Hemp Science, the thing you want to do, you go check out their website, right? Check out their website, some of the best CBD products that are available. They're all organically sourced. And when you get $100 or more, you're the recipient of a goodie bag, which will contain at least something like this. Who knows what else might come along with it, depending on how much you order and what you order. And here we have the Starlight Gummies. They're worth the price of admission alone. This is a little dropper of dose, which you take at night. But, if there's other things that may come along with this. So $100 or more, you get the goodie bag. Type in 15MINS when you make that order. And then $150 or more, you get free shipping. There's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. All right, so let's get into our True Hemp Science star of the day. And I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of the banner. And I'm going to go fully here. And I'm going to go fully here. Let's see if I can get this. It's because I want to do these on YouTube. Hold on a second. It's my new way of creating content. All right, where is it? Where'd it go? Here we go. There we go. All right. Today's True Hemp Science star of the day is the French director Jean-Luc Godard. And Godard is often credited with being the father of modern cinema. In fact, he is known as the creator of the French New Wave cinema. And his filming techniques and subject matter in terms of his films are pretty remarkable. Everything from kind of a modern day sort of swashbuckling, reckless, rebel without a cause movie in Breathless, to Jules and Jim, to what is it? Alphaville, if I'm not mistaken, the science fiction movie that he did. All very interesting stuff and very interesting techniques in terms of filming. Like, he really broke a lot of rules when it came to cinema. And he's got a really interesting chart. Like, you could just tell that he's brimming with creativity and a multiplicity of ideas. He's got Sun and Mercury in the third house. And so, that's Mercury's house. It's in Sagittarius, but it's still in Mercury's house. So it's very active. And he has this Mars retrograde, it's about to go, in Leo, but still nonetheless, right? He's got a Sun-Mars trine. And then over here, we've got a Sun-Uranus trine, Mars. He's got a Grand Fire trine. To me, this is an amazing trine for creativity. And he's going to break new ground, right? He's going to do things that are different. with Uranus here, and even Uranus, a little retrograde action, a nod to the past at certain times. But Sun, Mars, Uranus, grand trine. Well, guess what? He's got another grand trine. He's got two grand trines. He has Neptune, Saturn, and the moon. Moon trine Neptune, Neptune trine Saturn, Saturn trine the moon. For me, I think that really helps with money, like getting his films financed, right? People signing off on the film, going, okay, we like this movie. We like this idea. We're going to give you money, right? And the other thing about Godard is that he, there are times when critics would criticize his movies for, being maybe too much or over the top or, taking too many cinematic risks, right? But the other thing too is that critics also loved him because he would be very polarizing in that regard. But I do think over time, his movies, I think, really do stand up and do stand the test of time. He's got a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. There's a lot of retrograde in his chart. And it feels to me like he's one of these directors whose work will be rediscovered at a certain point. And Quentin Tarantino has a love-hate relationship with Godard. Like at a certain point, he loves all of his movies, but then he realizes that he's a better filmmaker than Godard. I think in some ways that could be debatable, and I'm sure Tarantino wouldn't like to hear that, but I think it could be debatable. This is somebody who has a tremendous chart, and I think took full advantage of all the creative possibilities. And so this is this is what it looks like when you have a splash chart. You got planets that are all over the place, right? You have all of these very complex relationships. I do think that the Uranus-Pluto trine and the Uranus-Jupiter trine, square, puts him a little ahead of his time. People aren't always ready for his, style, his stylistic oeuvre, right? They're not always ready for it. Like he's, again, slightly ahead of his time, breaking rules. But even that, this is this T-square, even Saturn squaring Uranus, he wants to break from convention. I think being in a relationship with Jean-Luc Godard would be challenging. First of all, he wants a relationship and he wants to be with powerful women. Libra rising men tend to be with powerful women. It's just the nature of the beast, right? Aries over here is powerful women if they're into women, right? So maybe if you're a Libra man, you're into powerful men. But if you're like headed in that direction, right? So he wants to have somebody in relationship that is powerful and or can share power with him, but it also becomes problematic because Uranus is here squaring Saturn and squaring Jupiter and squaring Pluto. So he'll also want his freedom simultaneously. Very complex in relationship. Look, he's got Moon in Taurus, which is exalted. Great place for that moon. Again, gets into that grand trine with Neptune and Saturn. He's got Saturn in Capricorn, which is rulership. Pretty phenomenal. Jupiter in Cancer, which it's not exalted. Jupiter in Taurus is exalted. But he's got Jupiter in Cancer, which is great. Conjunct Pluto there. He has Venus in Scorpio, which is in detriment. But guess what? It trines Pluto and it trines Jupiter. So even Venus here, he's got a lot of retrograde planets. My God, what does he have here? He's got one Venus retrograde. He's got, what else is retrograde? Jupiter, Pluto, Mars. A lot of retrograde in his chart. Absolutely. At least Saturn's not retrograde. In terms of the retrograde, I would say that this is probably, in terms of cinematically filmic, that there would be a lot happening in editing with Godard, right? It wouldn't just be how it's shot, but how it's edited and kind of repurposed in the studio with all that retrograde. Venus, Mars square, have a bit of a temper. He's got a bit of a temper. Don't fuck with his artistic vision. I'll tell you that right now. The other thing, too, even with all of these great aspects, he struggles with confidence. He's got that Sun-Neptune square. Like he's, especially with Neptune in the 11th house, I think he's looking for acceptance. I think he wants people or wanted people to get his movies and love his movies and praise him for, all of his artistic and creative genius, right? And if it doesn't happen, that Sun-Neptune square becomes very insecure, very insecure. So it's a fascinating chart, very, very fascinating chart. And you can tell that this guy is one of the giants of 20th century cinema. He's got the chart for it, right? He's just breaking new ground. And I think you have to have a creative powerhouse of a chart in order to do that. So there you go. Your True Hemp Science star of the day, Jean-Luc Godard. And look at us. We're at 8:38. We're 40 minutes into the show. And my God, we have come to the end of the show. Isn't that amazing? That is such an amazing thing. Why don't we do this? Let me see if I can find a trailer for the original version of Breathless. So we can play that. Here we go. I think we can find the trailer here. All right, let's watch a little. Let's watch some Godard trailers. Let's start with Breathless. Here we go.
Si vous n'aimez pas la mer, vous n'aimez pas la montagne, si vous n'aimez pas la ville, allez vous faire foutre.
New York Herald Tribune.
Patricia.
Je voudrais construire Roméo et Juliette.
Oh là là.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a, Michel?
Je suis un grand boxeur. Oui, je suis emmerdé. Connaissez-vous ce garçon?
Tu es fou.
So there you go. That launched Jean-Paul Belmondo and Gene Seberg into stardom. Let's do one more. Let's see if we can do Alphaville. Very different kind of movie. It's his kind of dystopic sci-fi film. A little Alphaville here. There we go.
C'était ma première nuit à Alphaville, mais il me semblait déjà qu'une longue suite de siècles l'avait précédé.
Pourquoi les gens ont l'air tristes et sombres?
Vous posez trop de questions, Monsieur Jones.
Quelque chose ne tournait pas rond dans la capitale de cette galaxie.
ce qu'ils ont fait. Ils ont été condamnés. C'est le professeur Von Braun qui a organisé tout ça.
Nous ne savons rien.
Vous menacez la sécurité de l'Alphaville.
Je ne trahirai jamais les pays extérieurs.
Dès que je suis avec vous, j'ai peur.
Vous avez peur de quoi?
Les hommes de votre espèce n'existeront bientôt plus. Vous allez devenir quelque chose de pire que la mort. Vous allez devenir une légende, monsieur le Mikoche.
So there you go. Two very different versions of Jean-Luc Godard, Alphaville, and Breathless. All right, we're out of here. Thanks for being here. A very streamlined and efficient version of the Astro Weather. Come join us over on 15 Minutes of Flame, where we'll be talking about Donald Trump as the new Caesar. You don't want to miss it. Take good care. Treat each other well. God bless. And bye for now.